Don't you die!
What a great note to start on. All right.
We gotta sit
This
through
is
this
the
now.
unhinged podcast today. No,
Yeah,
we're just gonna talk during it.
Okay. I see.
I think we need some chaos
pre-credit.
energy going.
Yeah.
Alright.
There'll surely be plenty throughout.
We don't have the overlay, so it's time to just rock. We're gonna do Alex's chart. That's the lead in Super Radio Gamescast. As always, I'm your host Ryan. I'm joined by my lovely cohort of co-hosts, Alex.
It's me. I'm in the spotlight today. I get to be ridiculed.
Wyatt.
Welcome to the life of being Wyatt, constantly ridiculed about your taste.
And Brett.
Hello, I cannot ever relate to this, Alex. So I'm interested to see what you see from your perspective.
We're gonna have a good time today. All right. Well, we're doing the thing. Last episode we did this. It took the whole episode, so we're gonna just get started with it. And if we have extra time, we'll talk about video game stuff because some stuff has happened. I don't know if it's that important comparatively.
Video game adjacent media.
Jason, yeah.
Media's in a crazy week this week. Okay. Try Guys and SNL. Some weird stuff's going on. I think it's time to let's
SNL.
forget about media for a little while. And instead
talking
talk
about
about
media.
video games.
It's time for video game.
Time for
An
the
industry
video
that
games.
never has any drama or horrible things happen to people. It never.
Of course
ever
not.
happened.
Why would
It's
you
all
ever
peachy
say that?
It's all peachy keen and just lovely and beautiful over here. And
Good
never a
times
horrible,
all around.
depressing mess.
Okay.
Whew. Okay.
Well, Alex, take it away.
Alrighty. I think I'm gonna follow in Brett's lead here. I really liked the runners up bit because it allowed me to mention more games that I've played, which I really wish was more. And through Game Pass, it's gotten to be more. Anyway, starting at the bottom and then going up to the best of all time because you know how lists do. Up first is tons of hours played. First runners up, I have Destiny 2 and The Witcher 3. Destiny 2, I don't want to look at my hours played right now because it is. I already
I
know
am
it's
curious
over.
what yours are.
I believe right now it's around 2,500.
Oh my god.
Big ones. You're hitting my Final Fantasy 14 numbers there. So,
Jeez.
Other runner-up is The Witcher 3 because I have now replayed it 4.5 times.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
good game to replay,
and that
though.
game,
Yeah.
and that
yeah.
game is long. It's
Yeah.
longer than it needs to be, but it's still fun. So I go through it 4.5 times.
And there's so much
Um,
different stuff you can do, too. That's the kicker for those types of games, is when it's actually different.
Yeah,
It's great.
I
Replay
still
value.
struggle to choose Triss over Yennefer though. It's been
Look,
very
if you've played the
hard
second
to-
game, you are never going to choose Triss.
exactly.
It's not worth it.
But anyway, on to the actual one. Do we do a drum roll or do you guys guess what it is at all? It's been a
go.
while. All right.
You just
Um,
I think we guessed during, but my
uh,
guess would have been Destiny 2. So,
It would have been, and I'm pretty sure Destiny 2 has more hours played than this, but I'm choosing this specific one because
not as
of
impactful.
you need something for your guilty pleasure game.
I have something for my guilty pleasure game. But I'm choosing this one because of the multiple different forms in which I've spent hours doing it, playing it, somewhat involved in it. Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls
Of
5.
course.
Because
That's
not only
a
have
good
I
little man.
been playing it so much, with vanilla, doing modded playthroughs, coming back years later with the DLC, modding those playthroughs again.
Mm.
And then I've been working on the Beyond Skyrim modding team for Morrowind, and I started doing some work for Argonia too. So I've been in this in a multimedia type fashion for them, and I've enjoyed my time on the team a lot.
Nice.
I'm excited to see your work in these mods. I think it's gonna be very exciting.
Alrighty. Guilty pleasure. The runner up for this one, Fire Emblem Heroes.
Wait,
it's
Before we move on, I did realize we neglected to ask the Skyrim question. Do you play a stealth archer?
I played a stealth archer for my first 3 playthroughs.
Okay, good numbers. Good numbers.
The current playthrough that I'm on, that I still need your help in just installing the Wabbajack mod pack. I have sworn to not pick up a bow. Unfortunately, that ended up in me getting the Daedric bow summoning thing. So I like using summoned weapons. Other than that,
Technically
I'm an
not
orc.
picking up a bow.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm an orc warlord who only uses heavy weapons, and that's been
Nice.
fun. Or
Warlord.
sword and shield, because I want some good blocking action. I want to see how the feedback for that was, because I hadn't used a shield before with all the stealth archer playthroughs.
Can't fault you for that. All right.
All
That's
right.
a Skyrim discussion.
Yeah, you got him with he's screaming at God. What?
With his little Pac-Man.
With his little
Why did
Pac-Man
it sound
cheese that he
so much
eats?
like Mario falling off a cliff?
Because that was Mario falling off a cliff.
What are you talking about? That didn't sound like Mario. That wasn't a very good Chris Pratt impression.
You spent a lot of time stomping on all those Koopas.
Goomba. Oh god.
Oh,
away
no.
from Chris Pratt. And then his little one of my favorite daggers to use, the Mehrunes Razor. God, I love the Daedric Prince voice actors.
Oh yeah.
Guilty pleasure. The runner up for this one is Fire Emblem Heroes, because it's a gacha game, and although I have yet to spend actual money on it, because I refuse to spend money on a mobile game, that's like in-app purchases and things like that. Dear God, if I come close to buying summoning orb packs for that.
Don't get sucked in.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
but I like it a lot more than normal Fire Emblem, and that's another reason why I'm guilty about
Normal
playing
Fire
it.
Emblem's a big commitment, though. You gotta
It's also, yeah.
lock yourself into playing a Fire Emblem game, which is
In
why
more
look.
ways,
I love Fire Emblem, but man, it's hard to recommend someone play that as their first strategy game, even though they are
absolutely
generally pretty good.
Yeah. What was I gonna? Oh yeah, but it's a big commitment in more ways than one, because the maps are also so much huger. Here, you don't scroll. The phone screen is all the map you get, and it's nice. Player movement is scaled down to a nice degree. It's good. I feel like it scales it down to a very nice, manageable bit, and still has plenty of strategy to go along with it.
Nice.
Oh no, if my mouse unfreezes. Okay, here we go. Guilty pleasure actual award. Ninja Gaiden Sigma.
He looks so
That is
dead.
such a curse.
He looks so sad. Oh
I mean, the
my
rest of it looks really
God.
good. It's the eyes.
He
Yeah.
looks so sad. It's
I
fitting.
think after
for how
this
they look in the
episode,
game.
we're gonna have to take yours and Brett's drawings here and make them into like server emotes or something.
Oh yeah.
Say,
We
this is a
should.
great drawing because I think this was my facial expression while I was playing Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, and yet it kept me coming back for more somehow. Because
That's fair.
it feels good when you get into it, and you can't get away.
It's addictive. It's one of those arcade philosophy games that
I do love how
if
you
it hits
have.
you right, it hits you right.
I do love the tutorial knife stuck in his head. That's a very
Yeah.
very nice touch.
'Cause I missed them so often when they were right in front of me.
You just need them to hit
Yeah,
you
you
directly
might-
in the brain.
Yeah. Yes. After that, any questions regarding to Sigma?
We've talked about
other
Ninja
than-
Gaiden a lot
We
recently.
I
had,
feel like
you
yeah,
know,
we've done that.
I mean,
Got a lot
other
more
than-
to
other than
say.
just the general how.
I don't know. It's good. Something about it's good.
It's got the
Keeps me coming back.
juice. When you slice someone and
has
their head
the
explodes,
juice.
that feels pretty good.
When you can see what you're doing, it's got plenty of juice.
Sometimes you
And
gotta
also, I
struggle a little
love
bit to enjoy something.
it's I love stun locking enemies with the Vigurian flail.
And they love
Oh,
stun
yeah.
locking you.
They do. It's good to get some payback with the old.
That's when you
Vigru.
spam the flying swallow enough to kill everything on screen
Yep.
until there are enemies that are immune to it, and you have to suck it up and actually play the game. But you know,
What enemies are immune to the flying swallow?
oh, you've probably dealt with them already.
Oh, the
They're
demons.
not.
'cause
Yeah, the
you
Vigorian
can't
flail
attack them
tends
head
to
on.
take care of them. Yeah, you gotta like hit them and stun them.
All right then. Games that I always come back to. First runner-up is Overgrowth, the game where you play as a martial arts rabbit who beats the absolute crap out of other rabbits, wolves, and feral cats.
I did finally play
Nature's
Overgrowth.
healing.
It's a good time.
It's very, very, very fun ragdoll physicsy beat 'em up action.
It almost kind of has the Hotline Miami loop.
Really?
You got to go in, and if you die, you restart the level. So you gotta like
Yeah.
execute your plan perfectly.
Hmm.
If you do it, it works well.
Has a lot of fun stuff with it. Uncharted as a series, I've extolled its values so often on this podcast. I don't really think I need to say too much more about it. Just as a series, except for the original, it keeps me coming back. I've played 4 more times than I can count. I've played 2 about 3 times.
I still need to play 3 and 4.
Four,
I keep saying I
four-
gotta do it.
4
And
is
then-
very, very good. Yeah.
I believe not just. I finished my 3rd playthrough of Lost Legacy a few months back.
Mm. All good games.
It's very
Yes.
good times. The actual game, what is it? I'm not entirely sure. I remember Dead
Oh.
Cells.
That's another good pick.
Man.
There he is. It's Jonathan Dead Cells.
Roguelikes always have that, like, I gotta come back to it at some point
Yeah.
quality to them.
Well, whenever I boot up my Switch once in a blue moon, it's usually to play Dead Cells. I'll see if there's new DLC, new areas, new enemies, new difficulty modes.
Mhm.
Absolutely, I do,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I get sucked into it for a good month and a half for playtime wise.
They just keep updating it. It's one of those games.
Yeah.
It's like Terraria. It's sometimes just a new updated version of Dead Cells appears in your library, and like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
They don't call it Dead Cells 2. It's crazy how we have the technology for that.
It
And
just
then
update a
you-
game.
And then you play it, and you really enjoy it, because it's a good roguelike with light enough story elements that I can't spoil because they're still considered spoilers.
Yeah.
Every dead has a cell. That's what they
Cells
say.
with dead within cells
Oh
interlinked.
no.
Oh boy.
Okay, stressful game. Of course, Ninja Gaiden Sigma is in here.
Yep.
Good pick.
Definitely fits.
Certainly did make me
uh,
want to rip my hair out at some points.
100%.
Maybe you want to rip my head off. So, there's
They'll do that for
Um,
you. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's not. You don't have to do that with that game.
that.
Another runner-up here. This is the first of many times this game is going to appear. God of War, the
Yeah.
newest one, the 4th one. For the absolute longest time, I took a very long break from this game when I was fighting the elves, the elves in the water world. That
Mhm.
was infuriating
Yeah.
to me.
I
And while
think
it still feels like you get the Ninja Gaiden style juice from getting combos right, there's still a heavy penalty to messing up some stuff, especially with Valkyries
Yeah.
in God of War.
Yeah, I think a lot of that too has to do with just the way that health works. Just they're like very limited pickups in like one encounter, and so if you
Yeah.
start to run out of those pickups and you're not like using them properly, or you're just taking too much damage, it gets very sweaty very quickly.
Yeah. That's why I have armor that either regenerates on hit or regenerates my health really slow. I feel like it's a must until I get a hang of it.
Yeah.
Which I'll probably be on for a lot longer time when I pick it up again, because Ragnarok is coming out.
Ragnarok is coming, and oh boy.
Ragnarok is coming. Ooh, boy. Okay.
Wanna play that
Actual
game.
stress. actual stressful game, I remember what this one is. Super Hot.
Oh,
Oh, specifically, you should note here that you were playing Mind Control Delete,
Yeah, specifically the quote unquote sequel, Super Hot Mind Control Delete.
the
It is
roguelike one.
absolutely it is absolutely for that reason, Ryan. But also something that I was so it's like a very fun slow moot 'em up kind of. What would you call it?
John Wick Simulator.
Genre. Yeah. Yeah. Everything's in some fun injectable bullet time. Um Straight into the veins.
Yeah.
But at higher difficulties and some of the rogue light levels with some certain modifiers, it becomes a strategy game very fast.
Oh yeah, it becomes a puzzle game for sure.
It's a strategy, it's a puzzle, it's a real time. Oh god,
You could say it's almost like a point and click.
real time with pause.
you could actually.
Ryan, you know what that sentence does to me.
I know, that's why I said
Not
it.
good things. Not good things.
But
dare you.
also one of the reasons why it's I stressful and infuriating are a little switchy for this one. But at the end of Mind Control Delete, this is I'm not going to say story spoilers or anything. But during the credits are unskippable, and I believe they are 8 hours long.
Yep.
One of those.
And they don't keep your place, so if you have to, do some work on your computer or go do something else and come back and find the game crashed, well,
No, my mistake. It was originally 8 hours long. The devs patched it to be 3.5 hours long.
great. What an improvement.
In the credits, not able to do anything. It's not one of those fun credit scenes where you can walk around a place and do stuff or shoot things. Nope, nothing interactable. You just watch a progress bar very, very slowly go by.
I'm so curious to what the thought process
I
was.
they were trying to be too artsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like an
sometimes-
artsy thing like that, 10 minutes, most.
Exactly.
Maximum
that's-
10 minutes.
certain people, it's the same thing with the Witness, where it's just like certain times the avant-garde goes past the respect for players' time statistic, and it just goes too far off the 8-hour deep end, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it for whatever Super Hot is trying to say about whatever it's
But-
trying to say.
I finally I had the computer on in the background while I was doing some work at some point because I finally just bit the bullet. I'm just like, I feel the itch to shoot red crystal people. So I left it on in the background, and it's I'm finally able to again. I'm never gonna play the last level because I'm horrified that it'll put me through that again.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Wow. Man, I hope not.
God.
That would be truly horrible. All right.
That stressful game, Super Hot. Alrighty, last two on the first line. Relaxing game. Microsoft Solitaire as the first runner-up.
Alex, I understand you on a spiritual level right now. There is a franchise, a game developer that sadly has stopped making games now, named Zachtronics. You might know them as the Infiniminer developer, way back when, the game that inspired Minecraft. They make puzzle games, and many of their puzzle games come bundled. In fact, I think all of them, past a certain date, have come puzzled with Solitaire, a different version of Solitaire to play. And so now, whenever I am just tired, I go play Zachtronics Solitaire.
Man.
Bonkers.
Yeah. Solitaire is great. I don't have to worry about disappointing or being shot in the head by other people. I just have myself, some nicely illustrated on a screen cards, and a little bit of strategy and puzzleness that I always like.
Just enough.
Yeah.
Just enough stuff to keep you going. All right.
Other.
I just say things to make sure there's no dead air. If I
All right.
speak a word like that, you can just start talking.
Okay. Other runner-up, we have Professor Layton. Mostly the series in general. I'd say like the fourth game in the series particular. But yeah, Professor Layton, very calm, relaxing music atmosphere. You can take puzzles in the story at your own pace. Very, very chill vibes from the Professor Layton series.
I hope there are games that actually use the DS pad
Yeah.
well.
Mm.
That's a nice thing. Although I will say, when I saw Professor L here, I thought there was like some weird Mario spin-off. You know, it's Dr. Mario. I was like, is there like a Professor Luigi game I don't know about?
I'm here to
Oh
teach
my
you. I'm
God.
here to teach you college grade calculus. Wow.
God.
I'd play that.
No, it's the origins of Gooigi and how it came to be.
Oh no!
It's Luigi's Mansion.
Don't get Luigi wet. What is? Do I remember what the actual relaxing game is?
Oh.
Overgrowth. That's the relaxing
Pretty
game
sure.
is one of the runner-ups from before here. Overgrowth. What,
Was that a hand
Then
grabbing
you
it?
scrolled it back to try to find it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hand just grabbing the rabbit. There's no hand in the game. I just drew a rabbit with a little
Of course.
martial arts bandana on his
Alex, I
head.
hope you
because
know that
you're-
these are too perfect.
They're very good. They're very, very good.
Because they're just artistic enough that you can tell not a regular person could draw these. They have the intentionally bad energy that I think we were looking for.
Yes.
Very good.
Because you
Yeah,
gave the rabbit
it's-
specular highlights.
Look at him. Look at his eyes pleading as you just grab him.
Really, that's just unfortunate. That is what that game can
Um,
feel like, but
Yeah, it's combos in that game are very easy to pull off. You have a small move set that just feels really good and satisfying, and something about ragdolling physics puts me at ease.
especially
Just-
with weirdly shaped creatures.
yeah.
You get some fun shapes in that game to
If
knock
I-
around.
If I roundhouse kick an anthropomorphic rabbit into lava, it's a good day for me.
That is that whole sentence. So much to unpack.
A lot to think about.
Am I moving houses? Because this is a lot to unpack.
All right.
Well,
Come on.
on that note, on to the last game in the line, a childhood game. I have a very sick runner up here in Happy Wheels.
I was going to say, I love that you chose
Nice.
Happy Wheels as a childhood game.
Well, it
Happy
is for
Wheels.
It's
people.
true.
It's
Yeah.
true.
As,
Yeah.
as something I played during study hall, one of the teachers came over and was like, "Oh, that's really cool." I still love my middle school math teacher.
Look, anyone who hasn't heard of Happy Wheels, go look it up. Go on a little journey.
Different
No,
generation if you haven't.
You are. It was definitely. It was. I think it was around the same time as like the Minecraft Let's Play boom, right?
Yes.
Oh
There
yeah,
was,
it was
like, the Happy
coinciding
Wheels
with
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, lots of Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, the cursed name Tobuscus, if anyone ever remembers that.
Man.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Well, we don't take that
Unfortunately
name
do.
here.
Cursed name.
Don't invoke him.
So Happy Wheels being a runner-up, Skyward Sword, being one of my more memorable Legend of Zelda games, especially on the Wii, when I was very active on the Wii as a Wii boy. And Plasma Burst 2, another. I was doing a lot of browser gaming as a kid.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's how it
Plasma Burst
goes.
2, also Raze is also on
course.
here with Plasma Burst 2.
Classic.
Gotta love your side-scrolling browser shooters. Actual childhood game is also a browser one though. Fireboy and Water
Oh!
Girl.
Yo.
Yup.
Nice.
once again, coming back at it with that fun 2D puzzle browser action.
I would
Yay.
love for more of these games to make like more modern ports of them that are not Flash based.
Ooh.
Imagine a Switch
yeah.
port of
You know,
this
I
game.
thought
It'd be great.
for
Oh,
the longest
imagine a
time,
Switch collection of Fireboy and Water Girl 1 through 7.
Be wonderful.
That would be good.
you know what I thought for the longest time was that when Flash was being phased out, I was like, you know what? I think a lot of people are gonna remake all of these Flash games for like Itch or something, and then Itch is gonna be this like new home for all of these like kind of maybe like forgotten Flash games and stuff. But
Because the crazy thing with Flash games, a lot of them are stunningly complete.
Oh,
Like,
Yeah.
compared to itch demos and whatnot, and I long time ago took a dive into Flash, and I think a lot of the reason is that they work really well based on just animation.
Mhm.
So if you're someone who knows how to like animate digitally and can write just some basic collision code, you can make a good Flash game.
I sincerely hope that a lot of the Flash game devs are still in the game industry doing
A lot of
the
them,
good
yeah,
work.
a lot of them are. I think it's a different time.
Yeah.
Alrighty, on to the second row. With favorite boss fight, we have God of War as a runner-up.
For a second, I thought that was
Um,
Garden of Salvation, and I was gonna punch you.
Ryan, you
I would
know
find a
too
way.
well that that could never be on this list.
oh my god.
For those who don't
Um,
know, it is the most busted raid boss I've ever played against. It is a nightmare incarnate.
You fight Vex Jesus, and in keeping with that theme, he has the ability to create miracles, which are just glitches of the game not working properly or skipping damage phases.
Or physics launching you into the sky or some inane thing.
into the sky, or further into the Vex milk, or just dying.
Timer's not working. It's horrible. Truly
Yeah.
horrible.
But God of War specifically, is it spoilers if I say a late game boss fight at this point with Ragnarok almost coming out?
Are there any late game bosses in that game that are spoilers? I don't think there's any boss fights in that game that are spoilers.
Baldur.
Yeah, he's the first boss.
Yeah, he's the first. He's also the last boss.
But yeah, because you clearly don't kill him in the first fight, so you know he's gonna come back. Yeah, I think you're in the clear.
Yeah.
Okay,
you're fine, you're fine.
his last boss fight with the story significance to it and just how it feels with the teamwork of Atreus and you working together, it's so good.
Super cinematic as well.
Yeah. Oh god, the arrow going through his hand, you can finally feel. Oh, very good stuff. Second runner up, the Witch Queen story and raid boss, Rolk, Disciple of the Witness. This is the first raid where Destiny brought in the first raid that Destiny did that finally feels like a Final Fantasy 14 raid. In that, you're not just shooting a boss's head who's up in the sky or anything. He's getting close and personal with you, and you're not going to like it.
You're doing proper mechanics.
Yeah. I get tiny little spoiler for when you do it, Ryan. He will kick you.
I like just the ominous silence around the sentence. He will
kick you.
kick you. I was expecting some kind of follow up.
That means nothing. So I'm just kinda,
I'm waiting for it.
Rolk will kick you. Actual favorite boss fight. Lost Legacy, the final boss. Because this is my favorite boss fight because it takes place in a train level. It's a boss fight. It's a final boss in a train level. It's you and Nadine punching and kicking the absolute crap out of this wannabe terrorist in front of an atomic bomb.
Everything is connected. It all goes back
why
to trains.
not? Gotta go back to the train.
And God, you guys trading punches with him just feels so good. Naughty Dog really got their melee combat to feel.
They changed it every single game, and with the final one, they finally figured it out. Like literally, it was so bad every game that they just completely change it every single time until they finally got to 4 where it felt good.
It's so impactful, and there's such a good flow to how it actually feels, and the satisfaction of him being crushed underneath the bomb.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good stuff. Favorite ending? We have God of War as a runner-up because the boss fight. Professor Layton 2 is one of my favorite games in the series story-wise, because I guess, yeah, still spoiler if anyone wants to play Professor Layton and the Diabolical Box but hasn't. It's
It's
all
your one chance
hallucination.
to go away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
had your
all
chance.
hallucination. Yeah. You're fighting an old man who thinks he's a vampire but isn't. It feels.
I like that distinction.
It
Clearly
doesn't.
thinks he's a vampire.
But you think he's a vampire too. You're sword fighting with him like he's a spry young man. He is not. He's in his late 80s. It's yeah. You reunite him with his granddaughter at the. It's Professor Layton's stories at the end are always very touching, but this one aided by its absolutely wonderful musical score. Really, really does it. This was one of the first games to make me cry.
Oh.
My mouse is stuck again.
I bet
By
that'll make you cry.
After I've said that, I'm not sure why I didn't have that as the favorite ending bit. But the actual favorite ending bit, Spider-Man for the PS4.
Ah, good
Oh,
choice.
what a great game.
Good
Give that
choice.
boy some more trauma.
We can fit so much trauma in this baby.
Look at him crying his stupid little eyes out. Kill your mentor.
Truly, you sound like Kingpin.
Oh my god.
Yeah, very very good story all throughout. Watching Dr. Octavius's slow decline, finally going after him. Good stuff. Good stuff. Very nice cinematic game. That's the last bit on that. Best art style. We have runners up being Tunic, the Legend of Zelda like that we play. We played that on Game Pass a while ago, right?
Yeah,
That
we
was
did.
One of the games?
Mhm.
Yeah, one of the ones that Brett suggested, and I've still yet to finish, but I really want to because
Beautiful
it
game.
is so pretty. Oh, and it has that cool mechanic where you're assembling the pieces of a physical manual. Just good stuff. Okami.
The other Zelda
Wonderful.
like.
I'm beginning to sense
Are
a
you
theme.
implying that Guilty Gear isn't a Zelda-like?
If
Have you ever heard of Guilty Gear Overture? You should look it up.
I would like to watch the 4.5 hour long movie before I play the game, right?
Oh, Guilty Gear Overture was a PS2 game. All right,
Oh.
we're going back. It's where they decided that why should a game stick to a genre that it's known for? No, we're gonna go make a crazy like real-time action skirmish game.
Are you for real?
Yes, Guilty Gear
'Cause it
Overture.
sounds like
I
you're
need to
for
play this game
play.
on Steam because it looks like a fever dream. This game looks fake, and yet apparently
It does
it's
literally look bootleg. It's hilarious.
It looks like a bootleg. It looks like a
That is
game someone would
awesome.
rip the assets out of the game and make this as like a side project. But I've heard it's really fun. So.
Oh. But yeah, third runner up, Guilty Gear, specifically Strive because it has the crispiest.
What
Crispiest.
wonderful 3D models.
Yeah, truly,
Oh.
it's wonderful stylized work. I wish I could make anime-esque models and have a good tune shader to work with.
I mean, that is all just like so much shader work for that
Yeah.
game to even function.
Oh yeah. Best art style winner, Hades.
Look at it.
I mean, zero argument here. Excellent. I'm so glad that
boy.
you've represented faithfully the art style of Hades.
Yes, you've replicated it so well. Look at his little lips.
Look at that handsome
Look at
man.
that silly little zag.
Oh, he's so sad to be in hell. Even though I used the satisfied anime face meme.
Look at him burn.
Alex, I'm
Look
gonna
at
need you
him.
to send me this file afterwards so I can make this the thumbnail.
Oh, absolutely.
It's such a good thing.
Or just use each one of the faces to like replace us in our our cameras.
Oh wow. Yes. Who's gonna be Ryu Hayabusa first?
That's got to be Wyatt. He said that's how he
Save
was like.
Wyatt,
he's
yeah, I
playing
was
the
gonna
game.
say.
He's literally me.
Honestly,
Um,
your Spider-Man drawing is also a good representation of me playing Ninja Gaiden. So
Let's get this boy more trauma. Alrighty, on to the game that I hate but everyone loves. First off, Gwent. I've gone back and forth. I've gone back and forth between the actual standalone Gwent versus Gwent in game. I love it as a card game. I loved playing the physical version with some roommates. I hate it in game because I can't beat the tutorial boss on easy.
It's also a weird
I
card
don't-
game.
I don't know why
It is
computers
really
hate me.
weird.
It works
also
great as
don't
a
like
side
it at all.
game, but it's like they tried to make Triple Triad a real game.
It's
Yes!
yeah.
Yeah.
And that game works so well because it's like a side thing. It's a thing that you collect cards to play with that are objectively like better than others.
It's barely a side thing in Final Fantasy VIII, right?
I know,
Where
but-
it started at least.
I know, but it is like you collect things over the course of the game that are objectively better. That doesn't work in like a multiplayer competitive setting.
No, yeah,
No.
it does not.
And then we've all heard my ranting, raving tirade against
Your-
Call of Duty.
epic
Famous.
Call of Duty rant.
The famous Call of Duty rant.
The incredible.
Famous. Oh God. We go back to whatever episode that was in if you'd want to hear that again.
It's up there somewhere. It
Somewhere.
I'm way
is, it
far.
is,
The annals of
a separated
history.
clip at some point.
Actual game that I hate that everyone loves. This is a bit due to the engine, a bit due to other external factors. Gary's mod.
Oh,
Part of the science team.
No, I'm at the
interesting.
science team.
You know, this is less controversial of a pick than I thought you were going to go with, but simultaneously, I am deeply offended.
Really? Ooh. Oh,
Alex, I
I've
played so much Gary's Mod.
There's something about the graphic and the graphics and the engine that this game is in. I cannot stand it.
It's Source 2. It's the Source engine. Not Source 2, the regular Source engine. They're making a Source 2 one.
Disregarding how, because I completely understand, the year in which the time period in which it was built. The games and polygons are going to have their limits. It doesn't look. Gary's mod itself doesn't look ugly. Half-Life series doesn't look ugly, but my God, the movement in this feels atrocious. to
Everyone's
me.
limbs do break every time they move. Yeah, that does
And-
happen.
And if a game can't make moving feel good, it can't make anything feel good to me. It's
I
a
have
very
to-
base thing that you do.
I have to postulate this to you as well, Alex. And to everyone, when we're playing this when we're younger, it's like, oh yeah, okay, cool. I've accumulated all this stuff, all of these things, and then like 5 years go by, and it's like, I haven't played Gary's Mod in so long. I gotta get this off my computer. I'll re-download it someday. So you get rid of it, whatever. 10 years go by. You're in college now. One of your friends says, "Oh, would you like to just like go on some RP server and make people just angry because it's funny?" And you go, "Yes, absolutely." And then you realize you have to download like 80 gigabytes of extra
Yeah.
models and extra stuff to be able to see anything as
Yep.
anything but like the
This feels-
checkerboard error message.
The era
This feels
of
very
Gary's
specific,
Mod
Brett.
was before
No,
GTA RP.
Yeah.
So you
It's-
had like
it's like-
Hogwarts servers, you had Star Wars RP
God,
all over
that's
the
right.
place.
Star
Gary's
Wars
Mod.
is the most funny. But yeah, it's like you go to play that game now, and it's like you have to wait 12 hours just to even start, because you have to like, oh, I got this is missing, but everyone has this, so I have to find that, and it's so much extra work for the equivalent of a shitpost, basically.
Because regardless of how long you play it, which will not be that long for most people, you will uninstall it and forget
Mhm.
about why you uninstalled it. Then someone will ask you to play it again, and we're back at square one.
The cycle.
I do
never-ending
wonder if
cycle.
you are forgetting that Gary's Mod is like a sandbox game creation tool more than an
Yeah.
actual game.
Well, I know that, but also when I was playing Half-Life and Half-Life 2, the movement still felt awful with that. It's something about the engine that just
Wow, those are
offends
fighting
me.
words. That's a hot take right there. We'll talk about that later, Alex.
Sounds like someone's not part of the science team.
No.
Man,
Not anymore.
Oh god. Oh
no
god. I'm off
Half-Life
the
3 for you.
podcast.
All right.
No Half-Life 3 for me. I would love to play Half-Life Alex if I didn't get sick when I put on a VR headset. Because that looks good, and I don't have to worry about the movement feeling awful. Unless it's in VR, where the movement feels awful. Anyway, next one. You love that everyone hates. I was having a really hard time trying to think of a runner-up for this one, so it's blank. And even the one that I have now is sort of half and half on the podcast. There is going to be a line driven straight down the middle.
Oh boy.
Destiny 2.
Ugh, you pathetic, pathetic soul, you.
See,
Yeah.
it's not even a line straight down the middle because I both love and hate this game.
Yeah. It's
And
a
I think
line
you do too.
3/4. Yeah. Yeah, I'm currently on the yeah, I could love this game.
They're on an
phase.
upwards
I am-
trend. I'll say that they're on an upswing. They're
I'm
making some
convinced-
decisions I like.
I'm convinced that there isn't a single person who like wholeheartedly loves this game, even if they play it every single day. I just don't think those.
That's
people
over the age of
exist.
12, at least.
That's no
when-
game though. There is no
It's-
game like that.
But
You know what?
but,
I take it back. Final Fantasy 14, but no other game.
Ah,
It's got like it's got the Tarkov thing where people are like, oh, I don't play this to have fun. I play this
Yeah.
because it's basically my second job.
It's my career we're talking about.
yeah, you do have the issue of bounties and game chores
you, like,
that a
sit
lot of
down
other
at your
games are guilty
computer.
of. But
You like sit on your computer, you like clock in for the day. You're like, all right.
Time for me to sort my bounties, do all this. You largely don't need to be honest. You can totally just play it and just do the whatever you want to play in, and occasionally you'll get bounties done on the way because you really don't need to do them. I will relentlessly complain about the way they handle catalyst quests and that you need to kill.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
They make you go play PvP with
It's-
guns that are bad in PvP to unlock the
They-
catalyst to make the gun better in PvP, which is
They
such
also
a strange idea.
well, they also FOMO catalyst quests that you're not missing out on them. You can still get the guns in the kiosk if you're not playing the season, but it makes getting the catalyst 4 times harder. You have to do 400 activities for the gun instead of
That's
just 100
Ew.
bonkers.
or less because of the seasonal boosters that up catalyst progression.
Very
Um,
strange decision making because there's so many guns in this game.
sick.
You're not gonna run out of guns to go get.
Oh, never.
So functionally,
The
all
same-
it's doing is making it so I think nobody ever uses more than like 5 exotics because who can be bothered to do all of that?
Hey, you have your loadout that you stick to. That's fine. It's
There are some
It's
insane
more
Yeah,
than
but I
Insane
stick to
viable.
it because I can't use anything else in like raid content. That's the thing. If I had other options, I would use them. See, this is the Destiny problem. Every moment I'm in the game playing it, I'm generally having fun unless it's Garden of Salvation or Duality. Then I'm having a
oh
good
my
time.
God.
But man, there's certain things when you die to like a weird bug in a dungeon that you paid money for, and I'm just like, okay, what is going on? You're
You know, because
wiping
they
us
chose to make
repeatedly. What a game!
Yeah, because they chose to make the enemy density so big that if you were to stand in 70% of any given spot on the map, you would die because there's an enemy in that spot in the Underrealm.
It's wild, absolutely bonkers.
Destiny 2 for this one. I'll turn you into a gun, says the hunter. Have not played but want to. I have to take Gundam Evolution off of
This
here.
is inaccurate
Yeah,
now.
this is a
Yeah.
slightly outdated list.
Yeah.
Now you don't
Yeah,
want
I
to
have-
play Gundam Evolution.
I still want to play Gundam Evolution. I want to get used to Asimar. I've gotten used to. I don't say I've gotten used to. I like playing as Sazabi.
We should drag you into the Overwatch train too. That'll make you better at Gundam Evolution.
Oh dear God.
Just play any other
Um,
shooter game and you'll be fine.
Because Overwatch is slow
Hey.
enough that you can kind of grasp what's going on. Gundam Evolution, you just gotta go.
It's
That's
it's
true.
probably the most
I-
accessible hero shooter, to be honest. Or one of the more
Hey,
accessible ones.
you remember this game? This other honorable mention that I listed back here?
Oh
That
yeah.
has a best art style? Haven't played it yet.
Good job.
I really want to. It is on my. Oh God, no! Why?
Whoa.
Why?
He's zooming so close.
There we
He's
go.
really
Okay,
gonna
back
turn
up.
you into a gun.
He's gonna turn me into a gun. He's gonna bring me to Ares Morn.
I've never
I ha-
gushed. Oh no, go for it. Go for it.
I have this on Game Pass. I have yet to open it up for some reason.
Listen. I've never talked about Hades before. Never played in my
No.
life. Don't know what it is.
It's not like
I don't know.
it did, I believe, win our Game of the Year last year.
Yeah,
If
see,
not,
I
if not, it
I've
was
heard
very
that.
close.
I
so-
even forgot that it did that because I've never talked about this game before in my life. But I heard it's
Never.
pretty good.
I can't remember. I can't recall you ever
Yeah.
doing such a thing.
I heard it's pretty good.
Also Guilty Gear. Strife. Another art style that I really like that I haven't played yet. Have not played but want to. Actual game. Shadow of
Whoa.
War.
Mm.
Once again,
this is
another-
a great drawing for that. The sassy spider.
Another game that I have downloaded but have not played yet because I want to experience the Nemesis mechanic. There he is. He's given the ring to the spider waifu, whether he wants to or not.
Yep.
The Nemesis mechanic is truly something to behold. I remember before I really got into it, I was like, it seems cool, whatever. I underestimated how cool it actually was until I started playing Shadow of War. I'm like, this is like one of the coolest systems I've ever played in a game before. This is incredible.
And I want to see that in a superhero game so badly. Give me
Oh,
some
I know.
crazy
God.
random like street level villain generator where they
Or
just
just-
reappear. Especially because you at the end, if you're a superhero, they constantly can break out of jail, so you never have to
Well,
kill anyone.
I mean, imagine all of like the Spider-Man origin stories. Imagine you neglect a relationship with an NPC and they turn into a villain.
It'd be great. Watch Dogs Legion was getting
Oh.
close, man. I love those systems so much, and they need more.
Well,
more
we just need to
exploration.
see it. We just need to see it in more games in general, but that's not going to happen anytime soon because the entire system's, under
You know,
copyright. So
Okay, the
Copyright.
thing with that copyright is very specific to the way the Nemesis system itself functions and the army screen. If you don't have that, you can still inspire from that and take ideas from it, which plenty of games have done since, but nothing has taken it as far as the Nemesis system. Probably is a lot of work.
Looks like meat's back.
I don't
on the
actually think
menu,
the copyright is
boys.
to blame for that, because the copyright is very specific in its warning that really just implies you can't wholesale yoink the way they do army management and whatnot from Nemesis, but the actual functional system, I believe, is fine to use.
okay.
On to the third row. Oh, and the final row. We're up on the top.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty. Best story. Runners up, we have Spider-Man for the PS4.
Very good.
Is best ending. Lost Legacy, another one that I have the best boss fight for, and you have train levels in it. It's fantastic. And a very important thing that stops other things from Uncharted from being like the best game of all time. I introduced one of my friends to Uncharted a while ago because he got a PlayStation to play, and I recommended him some games. He pointed out to me that the mainline Uncharted series, a little less with the exception of 4, but still for the vast majority of them, except for Lost Legacy, because it has a different protagonist, very much kind of hinges on a white savior complex, which has got me thinking a tiny bit about playing them. I still love to play them, but it's in the back of my head now whenever I
A
boot
lot
them
of
up.
games from that era kind of have that
Yeah.
in the back of your
Yeah.
head.
It's a little unfortunate. But Lost Legacy, you play as a wonderful new / returning protagonist. Good stuff. You get to explore her and a previous villain's backstory. Good stuff. And Witcher 3. Boy, is that story long, but boy, is it good.
Yeah.
Extremely good.
Actual best story. Morrowind. The Elder Scrolls
What
3.
have you done?
How can you kill a
I've
god?
made a call.
Oh, Alex.
God.
What am I
Truly
looking at?
unfortunate.
What on earth?
What the choice that I've made or the drawing?
All of
Yes.
it. All of it. Not the choice, actually. I do agree Morrowind is a great story, but man, you choosing to represent it in this way.
Hey, Dagoth, what can I say?
Gave him the butt chin.
I gave him the handsome Squidward
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, otherwise known as the butt chin.
Nerevar. Come to me.
I don't know
Morningstar.
what else can be said about this.
I picked The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind because of its take on this is the Elder Scrolls game that I think has best hit on mythology in any of the games so far, just on how it really connects with how the story goes.
Especially with lore. Morrowind is just so interesting in how it delivers in the game. The idea of like you being someone who is an outcast brought to that society and having to learn along with your character what all the stuff going on is, because it's not normal.
It wonderfully diegetically teaches you about the culture.
Super alien in a great way.
Yeah. And it's a really fun and interesting take on the story of the prophet in many religions, but it's very fun. It's a good time. Yeah. Morrowind for best story. Let's see. Favorite villain. We have the Wild Hunt from The Witcher 3. Here's where a lot of things are starting to repeat. Not necessarily in characterization, but them as a group, very formidable. I love their visual design. I love the mythology behind them.
They have a good presence too.
Yeah, and they have a presence throughout multimedia. They have a presence throughout all of the games. They have a presence throughout the books too, and the Netflix series. They're quite pervading. Another favorite villain, Doc Ock from that sniveling child over there.
Look what he did to that boy.
That boy.
That boy. Actual favorite villain. Get ready for another repeat. Balder. Balder from the new God of War game.
I cannot believe you've done this.
Oh.
Wow.
After all these previous drawings, can you truly not believe I have done this?
This one is just like a level above the others, though. You got the anatomy correct.
The anatomy. Yeah, exactly.
You spent time on this one.
I had to.
And also, given the context of all of that, this is hurting my brain on so many levels.
So good.
Holy shit.
You see this here tattoo?
Oh my god.
Oh god. Balder, God of War 4.
I don't love my mommy no more.
You want to know why? Just go play God of War. If you haven't played God of War at this point, I don't know.
Oh my god.
Just go do it. You can get it on PC
play it.
now.
It's kind of a massive
Holy
spoiler.
crap.
Just go do it. Okay, let's see. Favorite protagonist: Peter Parker, little sniveling child, more repeats. Link
Ada.
from The Legend of Zelda.
Interesting.
Just overall throughout all the games, technically his reincarnations. Things just yeah, I like that as a concept. Probably why I liked the Nerevar from Morrowind.
Mhm.
Reincarnation is fun to deal with, especially when it's on a meta level like in Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Chloe
Almost like a
Fraser.
mythology level. Same as
Yeah.
Morrowind. Very fun.
Chloe Fraser from Uncharted Lost Legacy. That I don't have one of yet. Actual favorite protagonist. Nathan Drake.
For a second, I
I'm
thought that was like a drawing of Parthunax in the sky, and I was like, "What is going on?"
I was having a lot of trouble trying to figure out what to draw because this is not Nathan Drake. This is box art from the fourth game
Yeah.
plus grappling
Okay.
hook.
I will
I
say
My
see.
my
it's-
favorite protagonist is the grappling hook.
it really does speak to how iconic like that mountain in Uncharted 4 is when I can look at that and I recognize what that is just from like
Yeah.
because
It's
it's
a big
just a
ol'
mountain,
shark.
but like it's just a mountain, but
like a
like it's
big shark.
it's so highlighted in the game and it's so like the look of it is so specific that and you've
That's a mount.
captured it here really well.
I've gone back and forth with this. It feels like it's either like the jaws of the shark or a sea creature, or like a boat, like a ship sinking down into the water from
Mhm.
the back.
Mhm.
Which is also very thematic because that's where he hid his ship. It's under there. It's under that mountain the whole time.
Yeah.
Go get some treasure.
Spoilers.
Um, at this point, really. So yeah, Nathan Drake. Even though I do feel guilty about it with the white savior complex type thing going on. Uh, yeah. Wrought with. Yeah, I'm rotten, riddled with guilt. Clearly, as you can see from my face. Um. On to the next ones. Best soundtrack. A lot of runners up here.
Big contenders here.
I am a very big fan of music in video games. We have Fire Emblem Shadows of Valentia. Ooh. Ooh. I may have gotten this one wrong. I may have gotten the actual name wrong, but there is a song in this one called God Shattering Star.
Oh yeah.
It's so good.
God Shattering Star
Oh!
might be a different Fire. It is from Fire Emblem. It might be a different game that it
That's
originates
from
in.
Three Houses.
Yeah, I think
It's from
that's a
Three
Three
Houses.
Houses song.
Then I think it's Twilight of the Gods from Valentia that I'm thinking of.
I don't know that
think-
one, so
I
it's
think it might be
probably
Twilight
more
of the Gods.
likely because I only know music from Three Houses.
Twilight of the Gods, God Shattering Star, my favorite Fire Emblem pieces. There's wonderful like rock opera ballad type stuff
And
with lyrics going on.
Fire Emblem's got great music all around.
It really does. Hellsinger, one of this month's Game Pass games that I recommended, and I am so happy I did. This is really opened up my eyes to a lot more. So I described it as screamo at first, as some of the metal. What have any of you played Hellsinger yet?
Oh
I have
yeah.
not touched it yet.
I played that demo
What?
on repeat like 10 times when
I did
the
play the
demo
demo a couple
launched.
times.
It's so good. It has such good music in it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Excellent.
And the levels are based around the music too, so everything just fits so well together.
You really understand why they chose to like get music specifically composed for this game
Yeah.
and really work with artists because it pays off so well.
Yeah. Third runner-up, we have Destiny 2. Michael Salvatore is a god amongst men when it comes to composers.
Yes, he is. Yes, he
Yeah.
is.
He is truly fantastic at what he does, and he is a gift to Destiny 2.
I begrudgingly accept that the music for Destiny 2 has and probably will always be fucking just so good. So good.
And then the last runner-up, which was a very, very hard thing between what I finally chose, Final Fantasy 14. Oh, that raid music! Just pick
Just listen
any
to any
random raid
song
the
from
game.
that game.
And any song, yeah. It's so good. It's so good.
No game can manipulate my emotions so effectively with music as FO14 and Masayoshi Soken does. It's incredible.
Speaking about manipulating emotions with this, most of the games that I've listed in here do one of a couple of things. They either have like really good relaxing music. I would not call Hellsinger or D2 or 14 relaxing. Oh, some of 14's music is relaxing, I'd say. It most of these games do a very good job of providing you a soundtrack that really pumps you up for the experience. The game that I picked, Professor Layton 2,
there he is.
Diabolical Box. There
What
he
a
is.
hat.
There he is with his hat. Because what I'm really looking for in music, while I do really enjoy being hyped up with a soundtrack and anything, what I uh, what I ultimately look for in music, because I need to find ways to calm down from things, because I get agitated by a lot of stuff, and I don't think a lot of other games other than Professor Layton, especially 2, have music as just like either calming, just beautiful in general, haunting, peaceful. I can go on with so many adjectives to describe the breadth that its soundtrack hits. It does a fantastic job
Because you
at
can't rely on
both.
like action movie pacing for
No,
a game
no.
like Professor Layton. You have to go with songs that wouldn't typically be video game music.
Yeah, it's and like all of the games always have a full orchestra that backs them up in
Always
music
the right
with.
choice.
Yeah, it's one of their soundtracks has never not been beautiful, but I had to go with 2 because of earlier on it being one of the first games that made me cry,
Mhm.
and mostly when I cry in a game or in a movie, it's due to music. It's like when I look at the scene and it's muted, I'm fine. Um,
With the music,
music,
it hits you.
yeah, it really does.
Mhm.
Okay, on to the next to last one. Favorite series. My 2 runner-ups from this one. We have Submachine, which is a call back to the beginning down here with the browser-based games. Submachine
Oh.
is a really cool, eerie, haunting point-and-click adventure series. Made by I don't know how to pronounce his name. Mateus Skutnik? Skutnicht?
It's got nished.
Skutnicht. Just beautiful stylized art style all throughout. He's also done a series like Where's New Year, or
Alex,
Where's the New
Submachine
Year,
is
or
on
Daymare
Steam
Town.
now.
It is.
They
It
ported
is.
it. Oh, it's coming soon. It's not out yet, but it's a port.
Oh.
It's the whole thing.
Oh yes, the collect. I just 1 through 10. They're all fantastic. It's good old fashioned point and click logic, but refined to a point where it makes sense in the universe. And that's not saying the universe is all wacky, but it's a good amount of thinking that you have to do to it. It feels very
Mhm.
satisfying. Um, and that was another one of the big ones that was my childhood of gaming. But as an entire series, I waited with bated breath for the finale to Submachine to come out, and it was well worth the wait. Um, Also, a runner-up for the favorite series, The Elder Scrolls. I've played 3 through 5. I would like to get on Bethesda's workforce before 6 comes out, if at all possible.
You got a pretty large
You
window
got a
for
lot of
that,
time.
so-
Yeah, I have plenty of time. I can get tenure at another company before that happens. But Todd, I would really love to work for you. Please look at my portfolio.
Do it, Todd.
Certainly not self-promoting here.
No, no.
The Elder Scrolls actual favorite series. I Oh wait, no. I remember what this one is. Yeah, Uncharted in general. Yeah, Uncharted as a series.
Gotta get that train in there.
Yeah, the train level, especially just on seeing how the series has grown from it's and evolved and like perfected in perfected it in Lost Legacy, but it got it right eventually. And the game just feels very good. It's some very fun pulp action stuff. Yeah, it's something that I could pop on and play if I felt like watching John Wick but didn't have access to John Wick or things like that. It's a really good cinematic replacement for a movie.
If you've ever wanted a modern Indiana Jones game, this is probably the closest thing you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But I believe there's actually, now that I say that, there is a Indiana Jones game being worked on, I think.
There
by,
is.
Yes.
Yeah.
By
By
Machine
LucasArts.
Games. Yeah, I
Oh.
think developers Machine Games, the guys who made a Wolfenstein.
Alrighty.
But anyway.
Alrighty. Favorite game of all time.
The big one.
We have God of
Big
War as a
one.
runner-up. We also, that I was talking about before the podcast, have Sable, which is
I am surprised by that you like this game this much.
It is, Brett. Sable is phenomenal. It is my wet dream of a climbing and exploration game.
It's really good.
I love it.
I'm glad.
Favorite game of all time though. Something that has touched on all of it may have not gotten runner up, but it has absolutely touched on every last one of these previous categories. Guilty pleasure. Sometimes I feel horrible about playing it. Tons of hours played. I've run through it 4.5 times now. Very fun boss fights where you have to prepare in certain ways. Good story, good villains, good old gruff protagonist, good soundtrack, part of a series. Witcher 3,
There he is.
The
Give me that
Wild Hunt.
horse. Look at that roach right there.
That
Charlie the
that-
unicorn.
Side eye.
that unicorn knows what's been done on it, and he does not forgive Geralt.
I hate that you've done this, Alex, but I also love you for it. So
Well, I also would have accepted a Roach when his like back legs are stuck
Yep.
up on like a higher. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Roach is doing back there, and that's why Geralt is giving him this weird look. He's like, "Roach, what are you doing? What
roach
are
is
you
just
doing?"
off frame. Truly horrible.
Witcher 3. It has hit all of the categories except for the negative one.
I
'cause
mean,
why would-
there's a reason that people got so hyped for Cyberpunk. Right? It's that The
Yeah,
Witcher 3 is
the
one of
ga-
the few games that really delivered.
the game that truly gave CD Projekt Red its credibility that they were able to spend.
It's
all
one of
of.
those few. It's one of those few games where it's like it lived up, I think, to like I think the expectations that everyone set, which were, to be clear, very high, and it delivered, and it's
Yeah.
I
Especially because The
know-
Witcher is a series of 3 wildly different games.
Yeah.
And I hope that the next one is also wildly different. Maybe you can keep a lot of the stuff from Witcher 3, but make it a little bit strange. Give me some weird stuff in the third one, or the
Well,
fourth
and it's-
one.
And it's great to see a series that starts like a trilogy that starts with the first one and then only gets better as it goes.
Yeah.
Right? Like you get weird dips in
And
trilogies
in different
all the
ways
time.
as well. We're like, Witcher 1, 2, and 3 are all good for their own reasons, but they constantly improved at things that weren't great.
Definitely.
I know I want to go
Yeah.
finally finish Blood and Wine.
I know I haven't,
good.
dude. I haven't played it, and I've always wanted.
It's
to.
good.
Same.
The DLC gets a lot shorter if you make a certain decision,
Interesting.
and not in a good way.
Oh no,
Yeah. Here's my collage of cursed images.
I want this on my wall.
What a beautiful,
This is beautiful.
set of things.
From grasping a rabbit to I hate my mom.
So seeing it all together, you go from the little screaming Dragonborn to
Screaming cheese, man.
truly punished Ninja Gaiden to the
You can
best
see it in his
Hades
eyes.
interpretation I've ever seen.
It's
Yeah.
it almost looks chibi. Which is
Yeah.
It is cursed chibi. And then just a
Chibi,
rabbit being
so-
grabbed.
and then you've got the photoreal Balder over here.
Yeah. Man, flexing.
Balder, who is straight out of a comic book.
Yeah.
It's great. Wonderful,
Very
wonderful
good.
list of games here. And I love the representation of Flash games.
Mhm.
Gotta fit Crunker in there somewhere.
They're a
Yes,
big
the
part of my
Crunker
childhood. I
equivalent
had
has
to
be
include
there.
All right. Well, we've done this discussion. We have a little bit of time left, nothing too crazy. So I do just want to reach into the globule of topic things that have happened this week to talk about and yoink out the briefest of Overwatch discussions.
Yes.
Because at least Wyatt and I have been playing a good amount of Overwatch 2, and Alex, I will ask you to drop the screen share so I can return us to our
Alright.
normal layout.
Gonna go play Gundam now. You can just skip this whole discussion. It's cool.
Close stream button. There we go. go play Gundam Overwatch instead. To be honest, I've been having a great time with Gundam Overwatch as well. So I want to bring up Overwatch 2 because I'm having a good time playing this game.
I have been having a very, very good time. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this is probably the best balancing I've seen in Overwatch in a very long time. I love the way that they've balanced everything this time around. I feel like in general they've gone with the League of Legends route where everyone is just like cracked as hell.
Almost appropriately, like I'd kind of compare the balance pass that's been done to Gundam Evolution because it feels like everyone's got a button that is the kill button. You press the kill
most
button,
fun
and as
way
long as you press
to
it at the
have it.
right time, you get the kills. Even if you're playing a tank or a healer, especially if you're playing a tank or a healer a lot of the time. That's very fun. I want to caveat my discussion of this as well. As I work at Blizzard, take what I say with a grain of salt. Because of that, I don't work on Overwatch, so I don't know anyone who works on Overwatch.
But I don't work at Blizzard, so
Yeah, I do just have to say that.
Yeah, of course.
Take Wyatt's opinion for everything that it is worth and more.
But I will also add that I was pretty adamant before Overwatch 2 came out that I was kind of done with Overwatch, just not due to any fault of the game, but like ancient history. I spent more than one summer teaching children Overwatch esports as a job in college. If you play a game that much, you don't want to touch it ever again when you're done.
So I feel like it says a lot then that you're back and you're having like a good time with it.
I think a lot of it is I gave myself like 3 years of cool off time. that does a lot. I think if I had been on and off the whole time, I may not be as positive on it. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun playing the new heroes. I think a lot of my enjoyment might be colored by the fact that I played so much Overwatch 1. I have pretty much everything I want from the game. That progression-wise and whatnot, I don't need to worry about the progression system because I have everything I want. Like I already have the skins I like, and there's no chase items I'm looking for, so I'm not really like watching the shop or anything. So I can't speak to how that feels from players, and I think a lot of the sentiment has maybe not been super positive on that.
I will say anytime that I say I'm having fun with this game, that excludes progression because I don't like it.
I've heard it's pretty bad.
Because the biggest thing I'm getting reminders of is it
worse than
feels
Halo
like
Infinite?
Halo Infinite.
Oh.
I'm not far.
Except, I will say, it is missing one thing that Halo Infinite does right, which is if there's a new season in Halo Infinite, you can go back and work on your battle pass for the previous season if you purchased it, which is something that is like very unique to Halo Infinite, and it's like one of the very few things that progression system does.
And I think that combined with the fact Overwatch 2 seasons, I don't know if seasons are the term that's being used, the battle passes only last 60 days. So that's a good cadence of new content coming out, But I imagine if you don't have a lot of time to play this game, and I'm not going to have a lot of time to play this game.
Oh,
I play a lot of other
career
games.
streamers may finish the battle pass.
So I don't know if I'm going to finish it. I was pretty worried about it the first day that I played because I wasn't trying to do weekly challenges or anything. I was just playing the game, and I got very little progression. As soon as I then hit like 4 weekly challenges in a row, I jumped like 6 ranks. So I think it's just very loaded into the weekly challenges is how you get your XP, which I don't know. I think time will tell how people feel about that. For me personally, I'm not the biggest of fans of that design.
That's my problem with hero shooters and progression. It's locked behind forcing me to play things that either only appear through RNG or I do not like doing.
I will say the challenges here are pretty fine. There's nothing that's like you need to do a specific thing.
There's some really cute ones too, where it's like, oh, say hello to like one support teammate or something. Like
Cool.
use your hello emote.
Yeah,
I'm
just
like,
use an
you know
emote.
what?
That's totally
cute.
fine.
I like that.
And most of the others,
fun.
the other thing, there's a lot of weekly challenges. There's like 20 of them or something. So you have a lot
There's
to
not
pick from.
3.
No, it's not like a 3 that you have to do, and you get like the maximum XP bonus for doing half of them, I think. I could be wrong on those numbers. Again, I don't work on that team, so I don't know.
There is one that stands out to me that was a little ridiculous that Ryan and I saw earlier, which is you have to do in 1 week. You have to be part of 20 team wipes, which is you have to kill all 5 enemy players for a team kill, which is
Good luck.
I am curious
ridiculous.
what the wording on that is, because it could be that you just need to be on a team in a game where there's a team kill.
I think so.
I think that's what it means.
You don't have to like cause the team
But
kill.
that's like such a luck-based thing. But at the same time, the sheer number of challenges makes that not so much of an issue to me.
Sure.
Because I haven't played as much as Wyatt. I'm like half as far in the battle pass as you are, but I'm already like halfway done with that challenge. So I think a lot of that's just luck from doing it.
I will say too, the new game mode, which is basically like payload from TF2, has also been very fun. I think that's something that should have been in the game.
Especially if you get 2 teams that know how to play it. There's been like
that's
a
the problem.
weird reaction to it. Of a lot of teams don't understand that game mode yet, just because like the robot moves back to the starting position if you aren't on it actively. So there's a lot of chasing the robot that has to happen, and people will like, as in any multiplayer game, they'll go chase kills. And so if you don't have someone stick by the robot when that happens, the robot will then leave and go back, and you have to return and push again. But yeah, it's a cool mode. I like the idea. It feels like a better way than like the round-based modes to determine a winner without it taking forever.
I like all of the maps that are designed around it. I think those are like all the new maps, I think, and they're all well designed and they look pretty and they look they're all in different locations as usual, which is nice.
All the new heroes are very fun.
I was about to say all 3 of the new heroes I love playing. I could easily just main Junker Queen until I die of old age. She's so much fun to use.
Axe and a chain are some of the simple joys of life.
It's not even on a chain. It's like it uses magnets basically.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very neat. Kiriko is like so busted, and she's so much fun.
It's really hard to tell though if she's busted because nobody knows how to play against her or she's actually too good. I'm curious to see what the reaction is.
Her ultimate ability has like changed the tide of an entire match for both of us, like many times.
Both positively.
What is it? What does it do?
It basically it's this fox spawns and it like runs in a trail, and then any teammate in that trail, they get like health boosts. I think their ability cooldowns are like halved basically, and their fire rate is like twice as fast. It's nuts. And
I think it's more than twice as fast too. Like it's bonkers. If you can hit somebody and aim, they're just gonna disappear.
And it pairs well with so many different alts too. Like if you pair that with like Baptiste's, I forget what it's called, but it's basically like a wall where if your teammates shoot through it, your damage is boosted like tenfold or something. So if you combine both of those together, it's nuts. Ryan and I have combined What was the other
Brigida's
nasty one?
Brigida's was
which is
nasty because they kind of both do similar things, but Brigida's like heals you a ton and gives you a lot of sustain, so you're just kind of unkillable while that's on.
Or if you want to be a real bastard, you pair it with Zenyatta, and everyone becomes like just like invincible, while also just the damage output being like doubled. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Is Hanzo still in the game? I haven't heard anything
Uh-huh.
about him in a very long
He's
time.
fine.
Okay.
He hasn't
had
really
a-
changed.
He had a rework like 2-3 years ago, however long it's been.
was
but
at
he
least
hasn't really
3 years ago,
changed
I
much.
think.
Yeah, he hasn't been changed much since then.
And his rework wasn't even that major. It just like changed his scatter arrow to a rapid fire thing instead. That tends to work a little better, I think.
And I do like a lot of the Overwatch 2 specific reworks. Like they completely reworked Orisa, and I think she plays really, really great now. She has this spear that can like deflect, or not deflect, but it like
She feels
it's
way less
damage.
stationary now. That was always
Yeah.
the Orisa problem, is she was super stationary. And now you don't have to be stuck to one spot, which is great.
Yeah. The only thing I'm not a fan of is a lot of the abilities that were changed to like character throws grenade. um like Bastion, for instance, got a complete rework, so his like turret mode is like a regular ability now. His ultimate, I think he shoots like mortars now. And
That's
then
why
has
he
an ability
moves
where
in his
he throws
turret mode
grenade.
instead of being stationary. Because his turret mode was always a regular ability. He used to have the tank ultimate, where he'd turn into a
Right.
tank and roam around, but now the tank is stationary and it's an artillery shooter thing. So
Yeah. And now he throws a grenade.
yeah, he's got a grenade.
Or like Cassidy's grenade now is just like a regular grenade.
You get a grenade. You get a grenade. Everybody gets a
Exactly.
grenade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad, it's just, it's just a lot of characters throw grenades now.
The one I'm not sure about, I think the one I'm least positive on so far is Cassidy, but I've not played Cassidy very much,
Right.
so I don't 100% know how to fix it. But I
His-
do
his
think that's
grenade
going to
doesn't
change his
stun.
combo
His grenade
pretty
doesn't stun
significantly.
anymore. Yeah.
Because that was always like the Cassidy plays. You'd walk around a corner, and if someone like lunged at you, you could stun them and then get your fan off and maybe kill them. I get that's probably a little disruptive.
I
but
think in general, what they're trying to do is remove a lot of abilities that stun or just like stop people's movement. Because like Mei, for instance, her like regular attack doesn't freeze people anymore; it just does more damage than it
Yeah.
used to. Which I can kind of understand because
I think the
those
idea is
abilities
giving
can
more
get very-
counterplay things, because there was really no way to counteract those abilities. So having an option now to counteract it rather than just don't be close is nice.
Tried staying alive instead of dying.
Have you tried not dying? Maybe you
No,
should try that.
overall, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm feeling the old Overwatch addiction that I used to have sinking back in, so I might be playing for a good bit just because I'm a fan of the rebalance and I haven't played in like over a year.
And a lot of
So-
maps. The lots of maps helps.
Yes.
Are they aren't all new maps, I'm assuming. How many new
There's a lot of
maps
old
are there?
ones, there's a lot of new ones. There's a few old ones that didn't make the cut, which I'm not 100% sure on the reasoning
Oh,
for that.
really? I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know
Hanamura
that.
is not in the game anymore, to my knowledge. I haven't seen it. So,
Interesting.
I don't know. That's my answer. I'm not plugged into Overwatch news, but I haven't seen Hanamura, and I've heard that it's not in the game anymore.
Hmm.
We'll see. I think a lot of the new maps are great, though. They're really
Yeah.
well designed.
They feel bigger, probably because a lot of the new maps are based on the new mode, which those
Yeah.
maps have to be bigger for the type of game mode that it is.
And a
but
lot of the
it's a-
heroes were kind of that were reworked were made more mobile,
Mhm.
or more like they don't have to stay in place for their abilities to be effective.
Right.
Which feels good. It means that you have less of a restriction on defensive positioning, and really like the characters that feel defensive feel that way because of abilities they have, rather than like being locked down due to an ability not having like an ability to reposition the Orisa shield or something. You don't have to worry about that anymore. It's not a concern. So, yeah, overall pretty positive.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's a couple other things that have happened in game related things the past, I don't know, month. So we haven't really talked about games.
It's been a while.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of major news, but I do think Beyond Good and Evil 2
Oh God.
has
Wow.
gained has gained an award. I'm going to go ahead and send this to the group. What do you think Beyond Good and Evil 2 has achieved?
Nothing.
Most
Because it isn't real.
most delayed game.
Alex, you are right on the dot.
Oh
It
my
is
god,
now
really?
the most delayed AAA game ever. It has overtaken
God.
Duke Nukem Forever. It
Oh
is-
wow.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about this game.
Ooh.
I love me
There
Beyond
just
Good and
comes
Evil,
a
but-
point where it's just like stop giving people false hope. Just
Maybe
stop,
when you're
stop encouraging it.
conceptualizing the sequel for a game that ended on a cliffhanger that was sequel bait, maybe you should make the sequel to answer the cliffhanger that was sequel bait instead of
No,
deciding
that's
let's
a good
make
idea.
a prequel. But
like a good
actually,
idea.
people want Jade in the game, so let's now put Jade in the game as a prequel, but she's maybe a villain.
Oh,
so now
come
everyone's just kind
on.
of confused.
What?
So I don't know. I don't understand the thought process behind what was going on here. Very strange. There was a whole bunch of leak stuff that happened with both Rockstar and a lot of other leaks as well over the past month. There's kind of a stance that we sort of have to take on leaks now, which is they do inevitably hurt development. So it's not a thing we're going to actively talk about unless it's like addressed by the company. In which case Rockstar did address the leaks that happened and we're like, hey, this is a super old bill that someone got like footage of had like hacked into a Slack account and got footage from that person's Slack files and whatnot. Super weird. I don't know. I think this is just a weird leak. I do think what has helped is there was this big gathering of game developers on Twitter posting early development footage because
Yeah,
some person
that
had
was
said,
fun.
the first thing to happen in game development is the visuals. Patently untrue.
Yeah,
Clearly no
What if
idea what
you
they're talking
were
about. In typical
wrong?
internet fashion.
yeah.
Confidently wrong. And now
Yeah.
it's become a meme. which
In
is
true Twitter
excellent.
way.
Yeah.
I always get so frustrated when these leaks happen and then like all of our like the collective opinion is based on that. It's like no one was ever supposed to see this. There's a reason that they never showed us this. It's because it's not
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
usually not representative of what they actually want us to see and what we're going to eventually play. There's a reason
Yeah.
we don't see these things.
Especially when the game doesn't even have like a solid day, month, year release date yet, right? Like it's still we have like an estimate
mean-
for a year.
Think about it this way. This is the equivalent of like you ordering food at a restaurant and then walking into the kitchen like halfway through the cook finishing the meal and then throwing what they have on your plate and calling it a bad meal.
I'm wondering why the
Yeah,
potatoes aren't
it's-
on the plate yet.
I'm sorry. Are you
Yeah.
putting raw egg yolks in my omelet? Disgusting.
Excuse me, why is my steak raw? I asked for medium rare. It's like, well, no shit, guy. You took it
You
off the
shoulda
stove
waited.
before it was finished.
Yeah. And I do think there is like a small benefit to the occasional leak like this in that it demystifies AAA game development a little bit. And you get to see behind the scenes of like, okay, this is what development actually is. People are doing a lot of work on these things. And it takes years of constant work by teams of up to hundreds of people. And I think seeing a little bit of that process can be really cool. But it's better if it's seen in a way that the developer kind of wants you to see it. Like, what comes to mind with that is the Skate stuff that they've been showing recently, where they've shown like very early development versions of the game, just to show you that like they're working really hard on how the game feels and making sure that's nailed down before anything else is done. I think that's really an admirable stance to take.
And we were talking about Overwatch earlier. I remember when Overwatch 1 first came out, they had so many videos looking at like their development of different heroes. Like every hero basically had like Tracer's character model for the longest time before art was finished for the other characters. And like how janky Reaper's ult used to be, where instead of like him doing all these cool like flips and stuff, it was literally just
Yep. Beautiful.
I thi- if there's a lesson to be learned from this, it's Twitter users, humble yourselves before others do it for you.
Oh, Twitter humbled itself very quickly. That person was very much alone. And
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's the majority of it. Hey, Wyatt,
Hey,
there's a
Ryan.
franchise that I think you and I are really the only ones that play these games, Assassin's Creed, that had some news like a month and a half ago, due to unfortunate life events and the crazy scheduling of a podcast, we haven't been able to talk about them at all.
Thank you, food service. Thank you, food service industry. We love you.
Yep. So let's talk about Assassin's Creed Mirage and Red and the other things that were announced. The witchy one.
Yeah,
The witchy one? There's a witchy Assassin's
There's a witchy
Creed?
one.
So there's a
Ooh.
like, we're gonna do it in a very short amount of time, but there really is there's both a lot and not much to go over.
As soon as we
at
know
the same
more, we
time.
will talk more about it. I
Yes.
want to get Red out of the way first, because I think that's the one that we have the least concrete information on and the least to speculate about, because we don't really have a lot to
Yes.
work off of. Red
These are all
is the
project
Japan
titles.
one.
to
It's
be
the
clear.
Japan one. Red is supposedly the first part of Assassin's Creed Infinity, whatever that is. Or Infinite, whatever the naming convention they're using is. Red is the first part.
They're gonna make it like
And-
Halo, but worse.
It's Japan themed. That's what we know. We know a lot of people that are on that team are a little upset that the person running it, the development of that team, is one of the people that was accused of assault earlier this year.
Oh,
So there are, even though this is probably by far the most requested era in like the entire history of Assassin's Creed, no one wants to work on it because of who's running.
And whether or not this is like
Japan.
fully true, we don't know. Obviously, these are accusations, and legally, we don't know what's going on with any of this. But yeah, it's a bad look, and I think a lot of the excitement for Assassin's Creed Red has kind of faded because Ghost of Tsushima was really good.
Yes.
And there's another one on the way.
oh god, yeah.
didn't,
Oh, what's the?
It wasn't Ghost of Tsushima. Didn't that originally start as a Assassin's Creed project, and then it was like bounced around and then
I
given
don't think
to?
so.
At
least I had not heard that story.
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up, but I'm also still in the conversation.
Entirely different development team, so I would speculate that that's not true, but who knows. Yeah, I think it's unsure. I'm unsure about that. I want Red to be good, because I would love a good Assassin's Creed Japan game.
Yes.
I would love for like an urban Assassin's Creed game in Japan. Not like fully urban, but more like Assassin's Creed 3's layout, where you have bigger cities mixed in with like condensed landscapes. I think that would work a lot better than just going open world. Because if you go open world, you have to compete with Ghost of Tsushima, and I don't think that's going to work well for
But
Assassin's
it's modern
Creed.
Assassin's Creed, so they have to
But
just
we
have
don't
it
know
not feel like an
because
Assassin's
Mirage
Creed
is
game
happening,
anymore.
and they said the Mirage is going to be like the old ones.
So like Assassin's Creed and not
So like Assassin's Creed and not Witcher.
and not Ubisoft open world game number
Yeah.
752B.
when they say like the old ones, does this mean there's not a leveling system like there is in Odyssey?
I think
No
yes,
clue.
What they're trying to make us think, at least right now, how they're like
Yeah.
billing it, is that they're taking a lot of inspiration from specifically Assassin's Creed 2, which is like probably the most beloved one other than Black Flag. So, if we are to believe them with that claim, then no, there probably wouldn't be any leveling, but they've barely said
Or if there
anything
is,
other
it'll be
than-
levels like there were in Assassin's Creed 2 of like weapon levels and stuff like that. It's not enhancement levels rather than levels of character in the world.
Yeah. So there's Mirage. All of these we really don't know much information about. They really did not say much. This was a quantity over quality situation with all these announcements, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the big
Unfortunately.
reason they did this is that this is, again, Assassin's Creed games used to be on like a yearly to bi-yearly cadence. It's kind of swapped from that to irregular releases, which is probably better in the long run for everyone involved. But I think this is kind of the, hey, we are definitely working on more Assassin's Creed stuff. And the specific wording that was used is that instead of offering the like expansive and vast open world, Mirage is a condensed and focused experience, is what they're going for. Hopefully, that means urban Assassin's Creed.
No unnecessarily gigantic open world. Hopefully.
The open
It's
world
I
size
remember
of
them
like Assassin's
saying-
Creed 2 was perfect. We don't need to go bigger than that. We
Because-
can
It's
scale
Japan.
down.
They can only make it so big.
That's
Because
not Mirage.
I-
That's Red.
True.
Because I remember them saying when Valhalla was coming out that it's like a smaller game, like in terms of its like open world than Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is not true. When you really think about it, because it has 3 open worlds, all of them are gigantic. So that's kind of, no, 4. Technically speaking, there's 4.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot to go off of here. My biggest, because there's not a lot to go off of these releases other than Assassin's Creed Hex is apparently supposed to be a radically different Assassin's Creed game, whatever that means.
I would say I
But-
like we know Mirage is starring Basim, which is a cool link to Valhalla.
Mhm.
If you've played Valhalla, and I think Basim is like one of the actually cool characters in that game. So
Right.
That's just a neat little bit of linkage, so that way you don't feel super alienated if you do enjoy Valhalla.
My biggest question with all this aren't the games themselves, it's this Assassin's Creed Infinite platform, because they've been so frustratingly vague on what this is. Is this like a launcher for Assassin's Creed stuff? Is this some
They
sort
sound
of
like Jeff Keighley hyping up the Game Awards here. It's like, this is going to be the greatest thing in video games. Over and
Yeah.
over.
I don't quite understand what this is. Like, what, from everything that they've described, what it sounds like to me is what happened with Call of Duty, in that when you open a Call of Duty game, it just has that launcher from like Modern Warfare 2019 to Modern Warfare 2. All the games that are released in that are now in this gigantic, confusing menu that doesn't run very well.
It
So
looks
like,
horrible.
Yeah.
and looks terrible and just gets more and more complicated every time they release a new game. Because for
That-
some reason all the progression is tied together and it makes no sense.
Yeah.
But I hope that's not what that means, because it doesn't add anything to my Assassin's Creed playing experience other than, oh, I have to click one more button to get to the game I want to play.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand the benefits of having this weird platform for Assassin's Creed games. I don't understand why it's like what benefits we have from that. They haven't
really,
been very
like-
clear on that.
Like any game, period. Like I just don't understand. Like unless it's like a remaster collection. Like if you can get Persona 3, 4, and 5 on one like disc or something, and
Yeah.
you just it's all on one menu, and that's how you pick between them or whatever, because you got the special. Like that's fine or
The
whatever.
other thing I get is like if
But,
you
like-
have a mod manager or something to pick what mods you want to
Yeah,
play with
yeah.
when you're launching the game. But generally, that's like stuff that like Total War has, like strategy games where you have a lot of
Yeah.
configuration to do before you start a game. I
For
don't-
90-hour-long first-person experiences, why? Or first person single player
Yeah, single player
experiences,
open world things.
where it's just like what that does not make
I just don't
sense at
really
all. It's
get
really
it.
weird.
Like, I think
It's
that's
also,
the
like-
big thing.
I don't
I
know
wonder if
what I don't know what engine they're using, but it better be good, because otherwise you are going to run into the COD problem and what is probably could eventually become the Halo Infinite problem, where it's like the foundation for this building is made out of like hardened elephant poop, and it is going to fall apart because it is
Yeah.
just the engine for Modern Warfare 2019 is a great game. It is held together with tissue paper and scotch tape.
That
because-
elephant poop is great for a shack, not so great for a skyscraper.
Exactly, yeah. And then you put Black Ops Cold War on top of it, and it just starts collapsing, and just things on top of that. It keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
And like Halo Infinite has so many engine problems beyond like, oh well, the movement and the shooting feels great, and that's pretty much where the positives end as far as we know for the Halo Infinite engine. And like the plan is to add more for story stuff, and it's like, dude, you played yourselves from the beginning. So for their sake, if they really are doubling down with this, I really hope that whatever they're working in right now is a perfectly bug-free and stable environment
Which
for
it
your
won't.
video game to be
Do they use-
fun.
Which it will
Of
not
course.
be.
Because
Funny.
I know
Of
like
course.
Ubisoft's custom engine that they use for some of their games is the Snowdrop engine. I don't know if they started making Assassin's Creed in Snowdrop.
Yeah, I'm not
but,
sure.
because
We-
they
I
made
don't think they said what engines the modern games are being made in.
yeah, because they used Snowdrop engine for Division 1 and 2. They used it for Mario plus Rabbids of all things. Like they use that for a lot of their projects. So I would assume Assassin's Creed is made with the same thing, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I do think the thing that worries me most about Infinity is that I really don't want this to turn out to be, hey, we're making our single player games as a service now. In terms of like, we're gonna slowly release the story. We're gonna like piece things out.
If that happens, I don't think
I'll just
there will
stop
be,
playing the
because
games.
they're good at the drip feed, but there absolutely should be riots in the street if that happens. The games industry will be at an irreversible low.
Like,
if
I'm
that is
perfectly okay
ever
with
come to
sequential
pass.
stories, but do sequels. Do like proper
Yeah.
game-sized games in between. Do like a Final Fantasy VII remake and have your parts of a story, but make sure they have a conclusion of an arc within that story, and you have an actual build to a thing, so it feels like a franchise instead of a mismatched collection of things. I also really hope, I don't want to get a sword in one Assassin's Creed game and have it in all the Assassin's Creed games, because that ruins the progression completely.
The video game is gone all of a sudden.
I have no
no.
idea. This is not based on anything they have said, but this is my concern of... I'll use Call of Duty of the example, because I think Call of Duty, it's fine, because it's a multiplayer game, right? If you get a gun that you have in Warzone and in Vanguard, it's fine, because multiplayer. You don't care to earn that thing again, if you earned it once. In a single-player game where progression is an inherent part of like the storytelling and experience that you're going through, I don't want to have to do... I then play the next game, and I suddenly am like powerful because I've got all this old gear laying around. That sucks.
Yeah.
I think
also
generally
like
they do a good enough job of like balancing the Ubisoft Connect items or whatever the little achievement things you get are usually not busted, but who knows?
Yeah,
it's also like you think about. I saw someone vehemently declaring that Elden Ring is a dead game, and it's like, that's a single player game, but have fun justifying that.
Watch what happens
no,
as soon as the DLC comes out.
Was that someone from EA saying that Elden Ring was a dead
No,
game?
some
just some
insignificant
person.
whelp from the waves of information on the internet.
Twitterverse.
But it's like, like people
That
people
toxic
like
place.
keep playing games that were released like 30 years ago that are single player experience. Single player experiences don't die when they're complete full games that you can have on the one thing they were released on. And if you want to play the other installments, you can do the thing next. This is going to end up being textbook how you figure out a way for single player games to die. Other than having them be like unplayable because of poor software preservation and stuff, or having an online only feature for some reason that
Oh,
games decide
God.
to do. But this, like, that is how you either lose the investment of people who are there when the game starts, because then you have people that are there on launch and they play however many hours and they get to the ending and it's like, oh, well, it's not like done. Like, okay, whatever. This ending for this part might have been like, okay, but I mean, I'm just going to have to, like, basically do a yearly subscription fee for like $40-$50 or something if they're gonna make me pay for
It's
the
like,
next
even
installment
if
of
it
this
technically costs less than it would be if the 3 games came out separately, I don't care because it feels worse, right?
it's the thing you're paying for is worth less because it's being stretched to 3 separate things instead of being like 3 fully fledged things that all actually are worth the separate things.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is that, okay, you start to lose people that were there from the beginning because they start caring less and less. You also like get people who
it
come in
ruins
at the
story pacing.
very end because all of a sudden 8 years have gone by, and it's like, oh well, finally Assassin's Creed Orange or whatever has all of its 8 parts complete. So now I can buy what was previously altogether $300 for less than 60 because now I've waited until it was all over, and it's like.
I really think the only justification for that is MMOs where content is being developed to a very high standard for expansions, and then they just want to catch you up at the end, right? Like, I don't feel bad when I'm playing World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy and someone else can get all the expansions by buying the new one, even though I paid for all of them, because I got my enjoyment out of those expansions while they were live, right? So I don't feel bad about it when when someone else gets it for cheaper because I got my enjoyment out of it. With a video game release, if you're breaking the parts up and you're paying a lot for a part, it's different if it's a sequel. If someone can buy a triple pack, as you can now with the Ezio collection of all the Ezio games of Assassin's Creed for the price of one of the games rather than all 3 or 4 of them, that's fine.
It's been like 10 years.
Because
so that
those
makes,
games are like 10 years apart. They're all separate. They all have their own stories, their own things. I don't feel bad about that. If I were to play Life is Strange or something and steadily pay for like every single part over the course of a year, and they're like, hey, well, now it's done and you can play the whole thing at once, which is a better experience anyway, you also now get the thing for like $10 cheaper than if you had played it as it was coming out. I'd be like, what? Excuse me?
You feel like you get robbed. That's not correct.
I'd be like, what? I'm sorry, I'm not gonna buy your stuff anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so weird.
It's just, I hope they don't go that direction. This is all rampant speculation.
Yeah.
Because they don't give us any more to go off of, and they start using all these fancy words like Assassin's Creed Infinity and a like global platform for Assassin's Creed. I don't want to. I gotta think about these things.
Why are they actively trying to bring us closer to a dystopia? I know the answer.
Maybe they
just
think
because
it's
it'll
fun.
make them money.
Maybe they're role playing.
Maybe they're having fun playing Cyberpunk right now and just
They role play as the Megacorp.
We're the NPCs. All right, that's our gaming news for this week. There's a few things that I'm sure have trickled through that we'll catch up on at certain
We should
points.
talk about the CDPR stuff at some point.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely talk about that.
I want to give that the proper time. Because
I think we'll tackle that, and I want to talk about Donkey and Big Mode.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
yeah.
What?
Yeah, you know what? We got a few minutes. I'll do the Big Mode spiel real quick, just because I don't know that we're gonna have a lot of differing opinions on this. It's weird. This is a weird move for Donkey to make, character-wise, I guess. I think this is an admirable thing to do as someone who likes video games. But at the same time, he's hyping himself up very much in this trailer for Big Mode.
Is this another face reveal thing?
No,
Or-
Big Mode is a publishing studio. Donkey has started a video game publisher to publish indie
obviously
games.
for indie titles.
Oh.
Think Devolver. He's trying to make Devolver.
Yeah.
And he hypes himself up so much in this. These are like developer friendly contracts, and he's going to do so much work to sell these games. When you normally have a relationship with a publisher, they are doing a lot. There is a lot of work that goes on of marketing, of like all these publishing agreements, platform releases. Donkey has probably no experience.
Yeah.
In this.
He has the experience of a game critic.
I was gonna say he also has a wealthy catalog of videos where he develops a big anxiety in the mind of a developer that is indie that he might think your game is garbage.
And he kind of reinforces that in this publisher
it.
thing of like talking about, we want to get the number one games, the number one ideas.
Especially for someone with the worst opinions sometimes, which is very confusing.
I think
to
Doug's
me.
videos are often very good. But
funny.
there are some notable problems in some of his things that aren't necessarily problems when you're just a YouTuber. They're not a problem when you're a YouTuber just making YouTube videos, but as soon as you then involve yourself in the creation of video games, you have to go to yourself and be like, okay, you need to start using language that maybe doesn't make the people that you're pitching your services to feel like trash. Because you
Mhm.
got to remember at the end that there are developers are people that work very hard on what they're doing, and they want you to play a fun game. That's the goal at the end of the day for 99% of developers, I would say.
And even if a game comes out and it's not a very good game, there is still so much like back-breaking work that's put
Oh,
into
yeah.
just
Yeah.
getting it out into your hands.
And oftentimes the
like,
bad
full
stuff is
stop.
just bureaucracy, or maybe people were just not passionate about it. Maybe it was the wrong project at the wrong time. Lots of things can happen that are not necessarily like huge personal issues that you should target someone about and say they're the problem, right? This is largely why we haven't really talked about Bonnie Ross leaving 343, because it's not fair to throw a bunch of garbage at someone for the failure of a game that is almost certainly not only their fault, right?
Absolutely not.
So there's
It's
a
a lot of
line
people's
here that I think Dunkey needs to stop crossing if he's going to take an indie publishing company seriously, especially when most of his videos tend to trash games.
Mhm.
Trash games
Or-
very hard and often incorrectly, of like taking their mechanics out of context. The Death Stranding video comes to mind of just being like a gross
my God.
misrepresentation of that video
Oh my
game.
god, that drives
Oh, I
me
haven't seen that one.
insane.
It's bad.
You know what else?
It's
Ooh.
real
Or
bad.
he's really good at taking games that are great and not saying a single word and making them look terrible. Like the
Mhm.
Witcher 3 video comes to mind for me, where like
Which can be funny if
somebody-
it's in like a lighthearted way, right? But Dunkey does
Right,
not
but
do it that way.
But oftentimes he'll do it with no context, right? Like Witcher 3. Alex just put that as his like favorite game ever. It's one of my favorite games ever. It's one of the
Same
games
here.
that inspired me to study game design in the first place. You watch Dunkey's video, with no context as to what Witcher 3 is or anything, you would think it's the worst thing in existence, because he's very good at painting good games in a negative light. He's very good at it, and
Yep.
to like a scary degree. It just it's very odd.
It's like I'd almost prefer one of the people that makes like the 4.5 hour video essays about video games make an indie publishing studio than Dunkey, because his videos are clearly like again, nothing like this is what he does, what the algorithm wants, and what the people want him to do is just short, consumable. They want the funny, and the funny comes fast. The funny doesn't come over a period of 4.5 hours talking about Xenogears or whatever. But if you
Imagine if it did, though.
I mean, to me it does. That was a good video I
Yeah.
watched the other day. But like, there's just a different attitude that one has to have when you're making a very long video essay about a thing that you are interested in enough to make a publishing company for. It's just, not only do you come across as you might have a better idea of what you're doing and talking about, but it's also like you have more time in that video to go over like, okay, well,
Nuance.
I'm not nuance, exactly. I'm not constricted by the short rapid fire funny joke timing. I don't have to worry about explaining myself. I could just like, I have enough time to have like a 20-minute here's the good section and a 20-minute here's the bad section. So I get the right down the middle of both if there is one. And if I really don't like it, then it's just 3 hours of why I actually think this game
A
is
great
bad.
example of this.
I-
There's a YouTuber I watch named Chris Gildart. Great YouTuber. Solely does videos about Dynasty Warriors. Only thing this channel does
My
videos on
God.
is the Warriors franchise.
Rad.
And every time there's a new Warriors game, this person,
Chad.
this wonderful Chris, does something called the Pro versus Con review, which is excellent because it's a breakdown of everything good and everything bad about the game, and he takes the time. His mini reviews are like 15 minutes long. His regular reviews are like 30 to 40. And they go
Oh.
into all the nuance of Dynasty Warriors. Specific mechanics and why they're good or bad and how
Oh
the
my
story is told,
God.
if it's good or bad. Because it turns out when you have a franchise of like 9 games that all have the same story, you get to really kind of judge how that story is told and nail what is the right way to do it. And
It makes
if you
sense.
can talk for 40 minutes about every entry of a Dynasty Warriors franchise just to review it, and then multiple hours more about random discussions of different topics, maybe we need to take a very, very nuanced look at certain games when we're doing things like that to make sure that they get the right treatment, and it's why like review companies tend to try to have someone who is experienced in the genre review a game, because often they are the people that will be able to catch what is actually bad and what is part of the genre or part of the game and not actually a problem. Yeah, I think this is just a rough. I hope this goes well. I hope you're proven wrong and this goes well, because I think it could be.
And I fully believe that this is all done with the like absolute best intention in mind as well.
Yeah,
like
100%.
to be clear, it's just that I would feel very differently if like Joseph Anderson, for instance,
Let me be clear.
decided to make a publishing.
And I think a lot of it
studio.
is that Dunkey has the following to make this work legitimately. Like his poll alone, if you can get like 5% of the people that watch his videos to maybe buy a game, huge amount of sales. You've done a great job. So
and a spotlight on more indie games is always a good thing,
yeah.
especially with how many games come out in just 1 week alone.
But he really pushes in this video that it is him and Leah doing this publishing company. That doesn't give me confidence. That does not say confidence to me. That says I think his goal is to try something different from normal publishing relationships, which sure, admirable thing to try. Generally, you really need some background in what you're doing. Maybe he has that, and it's just not a well-known thing. Maybe they will figure it out very quickly, which is certainly possible, because there's games made by people that have never made a game before that are smash hits instantly. Totally possible. So it could totally work. I'm just very skeptical of Dunkey's persona and publishing video games not necessarily combining super well. I think that's the most eloquent way I can say that. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll revisit Big Mode whenever Big Mode does anything. It could
Hopefully
be a very
soon.
long time, because hey, they're publishing games, and I think they were aiming for games that are early in development, so could be a while. That said, that's the podcast. It's time for shoutouts, and then we're done. Alex, it was your episode. You're the first shoutout.
Shout out to the Renaissance Fair. I
Nice.
went for the first time today. It was very fun. I got to watch people hit each other with lances
Good time. Good time.
and eat a Scotch egg.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fun thing to
Very,
do.
it's a very fun fried compact breakfast item, or apparently just Great British snack. That's eaten a lot.
We don't know what they eat there. It could be rocks.
Yep.
We don't know.
It could be rocks. It could be fruity pebbles.
Same thing.
All right. Hey, who
Scotch
next?
I'll go.
Go what? Do
Shout
your
out.
thing.
Shout out to all the voice lines in Age of Empires 4 for all of your villagers and your soldier units and everything. They are so fun to listen to, and my friend and I have been playing it like for the past couple of weeks religiously, and and we just half of our conversations now are just us quoting random voice lines from that game at each other and like kind of making a half coherent conversation out of
friendship.
it.
A good friendship.
I just shout out to that
Quality
game in
connection.
general. It is a quality strategy game. Very, very fun and very good.
All right, Brett, you want to take this home?
Shout out to I'm watching an anime that is coming out now and not 20 years ago. The new Gundam show, Witch from Mercury, is actually very, very good. The only 2 episodes out as of today. But we got our female lead. She is completely socially inept, and we got our lesbian main character relationship, and it's actually not handled by idiots. So it looks like we're gonna have a damn good time in
That's
this
possible.
giant robot
What a
show.
great thing.
I
Is
know,
this-
crazy.
Is this the natural conclusion to Serial Experiments Lane?
I actually don't know how that connects to what I just said. But okay.
So much of a read.
As someone who has watched Lane like 3 times, I don't know what you're talking about. But I'll take
I
it.
do not understand. All right, I want to give a shout out to a strange little game that popped up on the Steam store page the other day. sometimes I like to look at just weird indie games that show up that I've never heard of before. And this might be one of the best that I've heard in a long time. It is called Weird RPG. You can find it on Steam. It's very cheap.
I just saw that.
This game is a boss rush ARPG type game where you pick up weapons. The weapons are very weird in keeping with the name. I'll just read one of the descriptions right now. The sword is called Human Space S Space Determination. This is not translated into English. Not the best translation, probably machine done, but it gets the point across. The equipment effect of this weapon is determines weapon ability based on graphics card model. The better the graphics, the less the bonus.
That's crazy.
that's cool.
The flavor text on this: the sword of poor guy, feel the power of who without 3080 Ti.
That is incredible.
Wow.
There are weapons that are controlled by your microphone.
Oh,
That's amazing.
That is the most interesting pay-to-win system that I've ever seen in my entire
But it's reverse
life.
pay to win, because it gets worse if your graphics card is better.
incredible.
That's
Totally
fantastic.
amazing.
It is super interesting. I love the zany looking ideas here. It probably is an asset flip. I think I've seen these assets on the Unity store. But hey, if it's this creative, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm down for a very strange thing, and most people that I think have played this game have had a very weird that have played this game have had a very good opinion of it. So I gotta try it. Seems like a fun time of bonkers indie ideas.
Wow.
So it's time to end the show.
Wow.
As always, Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Time on the podcast platform of your choice. See you next week. That's the show. We did it.
We made it.
I don't know how, but we did it.
The
Somehow
image
we
of
didn't get run
tortured
over
Rio
by a train.
Hayabusa.
Somehow, 001 Radio has returned.
The image of tortured Ryu Hayabusa better be burned into your skulls.
It is.